What is the scariest/creepiest theory you know about? If the human body senses trauma it is unable to combat, it will switch off metabolism, pump endorphins, and slip into a pain-free dissociative state. In essence, shutting down. It's been seen in air crashes and lots of places really. Basically your body can switch itself off. Don't some prey animals do this when they are caught? That's why they seem so unfazed about being eaten. I'm sure I've read something about rabbits not being likely to survive an encounter with a predator even if they escape cause their body is just pumped with so much speed they have a heart attack anyway. It was on Reddit somewhere I saw it, so who knows how legit it is. That you might be aware of everything happening to you during surgery. The anesthesia keeps you from moving and causes you to forget. Yeah, before my wisdom teeth removal the nurse told me that patients can still partially respond to the commands of the doctor while under anesthesia. They just don't remember this afterward. When I went under I didn't even remember falling asleep. I had surgery once and woke up mid-surgery. I felt no pain but it was still awful. It was like running in a dream. I felt like every movement was through molasses and the weight of my own skin on my chest made it hard to breathe enough to talk. I remember screaming help at the top of my lungs and flailed my arms around in panic. And then someone coming to put the mask back on me. Later a nurse told me I whispered something and moved my arm a little. Freaked me out massively. A lot of comments bringing up the Fermi paradox to explain the lack of evidence of extraterrestrial life, when by all accounts we should be seeing alien life all over the universe. Here's another unsettling explanation. If you're scuba diving above a coral reef, and you know that there should be fish all around you, but you don't see any, it's most likely that they have learned that for some reason it's important not to be seen. And since you're a newcomer to this environment, chances are it's not you they're hiding from. Peep that in my ability to sleep tonight. Yeah, why the peep did I start reading this thread at 12:45 a.m. I am already regretting it. The one that bugs me was the one about the guy who was last seen in an airport. There's video of him just wigging the peep out and running away at full speed. They linked the surveillance footage and you can see him run all the way off the premises. He was never seen again. There's lots of theories about what happened. None I want to look too far into. Bulgaria, wasn't it? Completely freaked out and ran through the front door into the woodlands. It's scary that there are thousands of serial killers out there at any one given time who often just blend in with the rest of society and live normal lives. Many will never be caught. The comment: criminals are so stupid. No. Criminals who get caught are stupid and we can't catch the smart ones. When you look at serial killers, what's chilling is when you realize that many of them who are caught often want to be caught, or go for decades before finally ending up getting caught. And those are just the ones who do get caught. Someone who really just wanted to go around killing, and who was organized and rational. You'd never find them. Years ago when I was seriously dating my now wife, almost every time we started to have sexy time her mother would call up. Seemed strange, then disgusting when we found the hidden camera when moving her out. That's mega peeped up. How did you find the hidden camera and did you confront her mother? It was hidden under a stuffed animal and aimed at the bed. That's super creepy. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Spontaneous combustion. I watched a strange but true episode about this as a child and was convinced I'd randomly burst into flames one day. I'm over it now, but that was my top fear for a long time. I've looked into it. Nearly every case happened while the person was drinking and smoking at the same time. Which kind of explains it. Only the cool kids suffer from spontaneous human combustion. I'm in a nursing home with dementia in 2060. And all I'm doing is reliving this moment of November 2020. Yeah, mental collapse is a big thanks but no thanks from me. The theory that we're all quantum immortals and when someone dies in our reality for them they just keep on going in a reality where they didn't. This is very true. The theory basically says that all the parallel forms of ourselves are basically one infinite lifetime playing simultaneously, and every time we survive a bare death experience, we actually continue in another lifetime. Peeping quantum bears. Colbert tried to warn us, but we didn't listen. I like that this thread is filled with nightmarish death/alien/apocalypse/universe-ending scenarios, but the top post is about someone's mother-in-law coming to live with them. Cosmology can be disturbing. For instance, I recently learned of dead-end trips. There are some destinations that you shouldn't try for. It's possible to travel so far away from where you started that the expansion of the universe will exceed the speed you were traveling at. You can't return home, because home is receding faster than you can travel. You can't reach your destination, because it too is receding faster than you can travel. You can no longer get anywhere, only get further away from everything. You cannot reach any destination, even if you travel forever. In Doctor Strange, they suggested that magic is the source code of the universe, and spells exploit that code. The Matrix sequels, yeah. I know, also said vampires and ghosts are bad code left over from previous simulations. If there is actually magic or any paranormal events have ever actually occurred. Perhaps our universe is a simulation and some rare events have uncovered glitches in the code. Our world is our perception of our surroundings in our three-dimensional life. It's possible that we are living amongst beings, things and events that we cannot experience because we are three dimensions and they are not. Oh peep, I remember this theory now. Our visible color range and audible hearing range are pretty narrow. Many animals communicate with what we consider to be ultrasound or infrasound. Some animals see colors we can't even comprehend. Remember that the next time you see a cat staring up at a corner before it runs away. I would just say that even though we can't see and hear in those ranges, we have tools/sensors that can. So it's not like there is weird M/sound activity happening that humans could not possibly be aware of. The guy in bottleneck theory. Basically, the reason we've never encountered or been contacted by aliens is because they're all dead. Every alien species that evolved to form advanced societies eventually outgrew their planet and destroyed themselves. Like we are. I think it's probably because, just like how aliens probably exist because the universe is really big, they probably haven't gotten here because the universe is really big. People underestimate how hard it is to travel between galaxies. You basically can't outside of a small select few in your local group. Not only is it practically impossible, it's borderline theoretically impossible. The only way it's possible is if unproven quirks in the mathematics of physics actually happen to be indicative of reality. And don't forget time. We're not just a needle in a haystack. We've only been living on that needle for a few thousand out of several billion years. Earth could have been contacted by aliens hundreds of times when it was just trilobites or dinosaurs. That we have so little data about the deep dark parts of the ocean and don't truly know what lurks there. Mr. and Mrs. Cthulhu, I assume, of Mariana Trench. We're proud to say that they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. The universe could be dying. And we'd have no way to know until we just suddenly vanish from existence. There could be a sort of quantum energy wave. Can't remember what it's called because it's been so long since I read about it. 0-point collapse. Maybe? Vacuum bubble burst? But whatever it is, it's an energy wave that starts at some point and spreads outward at the speed of light, annihilating any matter, energy, and even space-time in its path. Because the wave travels at the speed of light, it is invisible. We would have no way of seeing it coming, because any light emitted by it would hit us at the exact same time that the wave itself hits us. So, all of a sudden, the sun might just vanish from existence. We wouldn't notice because the sun's light from 8 minutes ago would still be reaching us. 8 minutes later, the Earth just vanishes from existence. No warning. No trace. False vacuum decay. Of all of the end of the world scenarios, this one is cool but not really that scary. If the world is gonna end, I don't want to see it coming. I agree. This honestly seems like the best way to go out. Global war. Widespread disease and or hunger? No thanks. Just have us cease to exist any longer. Every millennial's dream. Sometime in the future. If we don't disappear before, humans will probably be able to bioengineer themselves to avoid death by old age. Most probably only the richest people would get this, founding an immortal elite of dynasties that will be able to rule nations by themselves, while common people simply keep dying as always. Now almost everyone think of death as something normal and inevitable, as part of our nature. But then, in that hypothetical future, death will be seen like a disease which curates kept away from common people by that ruling elite. This is basically the premise of the show Altered Carbon. Give it a watch. You might like it. You live that long. Things start happening to you. You get too impressed with yourself. Ends up, you think you're God. Suddenly the little people, 30, maybe 40 years old, well, they don't really matter anymore. You've seen whole societies rise and fall, and you start to feel you're standing outside it all, and none of it really matters to you. And maybe you'll start snuffing those little people, just like picking daisies, if they get under your feet. Give the trilogy a read. It's peeping excellent. That all intelligent life kills itself. So the theory started out with the Fermi paradox. Basically, there are so many planets in this galaxy, let alone the entire universe, that it is statistically impossible that we're the only planet that developed intelligent life. So where is everybody? Well, the secondary theory is that every intelligent species reaches the point where they have a technology that can kill their entire species, and that the vast majority end up killing themselves at that point. Those who survive this time in their history are so rare that we haven't found them and they haven't found us. As a species, we reached that point in our history with the discovery of nuclear weapons. And we're at the height of risk during the Cold War, at least thus far in our collective history, but there are various technologies that could bring a species to this point in their history. This would mean that while so far we've survived, that it's statistically unlikely we will survive long term. What makes me agree most with this is that as technology advances, its destructive power increases faster than its protective power. Like you say, with nuclear weapons existing, no real defense against them does. As time goes on and the average person's personal technology increases, I imagine WMD to get more and more accessible until eventually the odds of zero lunatics getting hold of them will be relatively low. At this point, it just takes one nutcase to decide they want to end the world. Of course, there's tons of stuff like controlling access to stuff which plays a big part too, but if this theory is good enough for you, then it's good enough for me. Yep, totally agree. We are our own worst enemies. It's like a reset. We've reached the end of the game. Time to play again. May or not be a theory, but the first thing I thought of was that feeling you get when you're on top of a building and think, what if I jumped? Or when you're driving and think, what if I just swerve into traffic? Well, it's actually got a name. L'appel du vide. French for the call of the void. I always thought the idea of some ethereal presence calling you towards darkness creepy. Also just called intrusive thoughts. Less disastrous example being the urge to chuck your phone off a bridge. Some people have had some strange NDEs, near-death experiences. Going through websites cataloging them can be a trip. I'm willing to attribute some of them to brain damage and some as legit, though I'll never be able to tell which is which. Deathbed visions give me a warmer sense of security. I can't imagine how peaceful it must be to die and see your deceased loved ones there to ensure you make it safely to the other side. My dumbass was like non-disclosure agreements? Might be the most relatable thing I've ever seen on Reddit for me. So glad this was said.